My name is Claire. During one of the dinners, I heard the following: "You'll never be as good as your brother Ralph." My father's words fell across the dinner table like an executioner's blade. His tone was flat, final, uttered in front of my mother, who looked down at her plate, and Ralph, who smirked as though victory had been handed to him on a silver platter. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I stared at the roasted chicken between us. Then I pushed my chair back, the scrape of wood on tile shrieking through the silence. "Then tell him to pay the bills," I said. My voice didn't shake, though my hands trembled at my sides. My mother blinked, startled. "What bills? We've never asked you for." I cut her off. "Don't pretend. 7 years of rent, lights, hospital visits, I carried them all." My throat tightened, but I forced the words out. While Ralph played king. Ralph leaned back grinning. "You chose to help Claire. No one forced you." The audacity in his voice made my eyes sting. I swallowed hard, refusing to let the tears fall. "I chose because I thought love meant sacrifice. I thought family meant we shared burdens, not that one carried them while the other basked in applause." The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was suffocating. My father's eyes were hard as stone, but for the first time, I didn't cower. I stood there, heart hammering, and realized something terrible yet liberating. This wasn't just cruelty, it was a declaration of war. And for the first time in my life, I was ready to fight back. It started with pleading. I can still see my mother's hands gripping mine in the dim light of our kitchen 7 years ago, her eyes wet with urgency. "Claire, if you love us, you'll help. Just until we get back on our feet." I was 22, working part-time, barely keeping myself fed, but I nodded. Love doesn't measure cost, I told myself. So I picked up extra shifts, first at the cafe, then nights at the call center. My body ached, my lungs burned, but every paycheck was wired home. Rent, electricity, even Dad's medical bills. The gratitude I longed for never came. At first, I excused it. Maybe they were embarrassed. Maybe they didn't know how to say thank you, but the silence grew heavier with each transfer. Then came the night that broke me. Carrying laundry past the study, I heard my mother's voice through the half-open door. "Claire, she's useless. Always will be. We can't rely on her for anything." I froze, the basket digging into my ribs. My throat tightened until I could barely swallow. I pressed my hand against my mouth to keep from sobbing. Every sleepless night, every dollar I skipped meals to send, erased in a single sentence. The next morning, I tried to look Ralph in the eye. He was showing off his new phone, grinning like he owned the world. "Latest model," he said, winking. "Maybe one day you'll afford one too." The cruelty in his laugh cut deeper than my mother's words. I went to my room, shut the door, and for the first time in years, let the tears fall freely. That night, staring at the ceiling, I realized love was supposed to heal, not hollow you out. Something was wrong, terribly wrong, and I vowed I would find out what. The truth revealed itself not with thunder, but with a careless click. Ralph had left his laptop open on the dining table, the blue glow of the screen washing over his untouched coffee. I passed by, meaning to ignore it, but a subject line caught my eye. "Transfer confirmation." My stomach tightened. I shouldn't have looked, but 7 years of unanswered questions pulled me closer. My hand shook as I scrolled, and then my heart stopped. Bank transfers, my name, my money. Mima lines reading family support, emergency fund, medical necessity. But the destination wasn't the landlord or the hospital. It was Ralph's account. My knees buckled, and I sank into the chair, scrolling through page after page. My sacrifices had bought him cars, suits, weekends away. While I skipped meals, he dined in luxury. While I swallowed exhaustion, he grinned into cameras, flashing watches paid with my sweat. I didn't realize I was crying until a tear blurred the screen. Rage and grief tangled in my chest until I could hardly breathe. Just then, Ralph strolled in whistling. He froze when he saw me at the laptop. "What are you doing?" His voice was sharp, defensive. I looked up, my face wet but steady. "My money," I whispered. "Every cent I sent them, it went to you." For a split second, guilt flickered in his eyes. Then he laughed, cold and hollow. "You're overreacting. You wanted to help. I just made sure it didn't go to waste." The audacity left me trembling. I closed the laptop, stood, and met his gaze with a calmness I didn't feel. "You've wasted more than money, Ralph. You've wasted me." I walked to my room, shut the door, and pressed my forehead against it, my tears finally breaking free. But beneath the grief, a fire began to burn. This wasn't over. Revenge didn't come with fire, it came with silence. Cold, deliberate silence. The night after my discovery, I began gathering every scrap of proof. Old receipts, screenshots of transfers, emails confirming deposits. I organized them into folders so precise they looked like a prosecutor's case. 7 years of my life, cataloged in black and white. I worked in secret, heart-pounding every time a floorboard creaked. Once my mother nearly caught me hunched over the printer. "What are you doing up so late?" she asked, her voice suspicious. "Work report," I lied, forcing a smile, hiding the papers under my arm. She nodded and walked away, but my palms stayed clammy long after. The next step was control. Quietly, I rerouted my paycheck, set up new accounts, froze the credit cards in my name. Each click of confirmation was a small victory, though tears sometimes blurred the screen. I wasn't just cutting them off, I was cutting myself free. Ralph, meanwhile, flaunted his arrogance. One evening, he waved car keys in my face. "Upgraded again," he bragged, his grin smug. I smiled faintly, though my fists curled in my lap. If only he knew. Nights were the hardest. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, grief pressing down like a weight. Had my entire family ever truly loved me, or only the money I gave? The tears came quietly, soaking the pillow, but mixed with the sorrow was a new resolve. I wasn't powerless. I was patient, and patience, I realized, was its own weapon. The war had already begun, they just didn't know it yet. The table was set as always, my father at the head, my mother beside him, Ralph lounging like a prince. Their conversation cut at me in small, sharp jabs. I waited, calm, steady. Then I said it. "I'm not sending money anymore." My mother's fork froze midair. "What money? We never." "Check Ralph's account," I interrupted, sliding my phone across the table. Folder after folder glowed on the screen. Receipts, transfers, emails. 7 years of sacrifice turned into undeniable proof. Ralph paled, his lips parting. My father leaned forward, voice trembling for the first time. "Why didn't you tell us?" I met his gaze, unflinching. Because I wanted this moment, the mask ripped away. The silence that followed was suffocating. My mother's face crumpled. Ralph stared at his plate, and my father sat hollow-eyed. I stood, my chair scraping back like it had the first night. Ralph can pay the bills now. After all, he's the good one. And I walked out. They called for weeks, first excuses, then begging, then threats. I never answered. The last message read, "We need you, please." But I finally understood. They never needed me. Only what I gave. And for the first time, I was free.